Let's start. See to it that you sit in a comfortable position. You can close your eyes and just recognize what is here. Just notice this moment. And whatever comes. And at first it might feel like you're just concentrating on being aware of the body. But allow yourself to rest here. And just invite the full experience. Not trying to make the mind silent, not trying to create a certain state. Just recognize what is here. And this attention it doesn't automatically make you into a doer. It is just observing. Like a pure witness of this moment. And it's not a belief of a witness. It's not an idea of a witness. It doesn't require you to create anything. It's just a recognition of what is. And I understand that this simplicity of it can be one of the most confusing things. We're so used to engaging, trying, mastering. So this pure witnessing is just very simple. There's no grand understanding that is needed. You just witness. And built into this witness is when you recognize the experience and don't go along with it, don't identify with it, don't become it, don't stick it onto the idea of you. The moment when you just allow your emotions, your thoughts, when you completely allow them without resisting or trying to enhance or distort in any way, there will be space. And when I guide you like this, you might think that I'm guiding you in a meditation, you would say. But the meditation itself is just the acceptance of now. You can call that whatever you like. You can call it love, self-love. You can call it remembering awareness. You can call it beingness, staying as beingness. Whatever you like. It's the simple recognition of this moment. Your mind might have all kinds of ideas, trying to go somewhere, do something with it, try to be clever. But there is something that notices all that effort. All that doership is being recognized by this witness, this silence witness that is awareness itself. You are not different from this peace. You are not different from this silence. You are not different from this awareness. The fullness and the emptiness of the experience is you. All of its content is you. The vast silence is you. Most minds are in a state of constant battle. Thoughts are coming, being parried, trying to control them. Listening to this advice from the mind and that advice, jumping around. But what makes the mind quiet? What makes the mind really settle down? Not what you believe makes the mind quiet. Look. Because the mind might say, you have to do this and then you will be done. But there's always a next for the ego. There's always a next for the mind. It just plays you and continues and says, your self-worth is in this or that. You have to be someone that accomplishes things, or you will not be worthy. It puts all the identity in your doership. Doing can happen, but identification with it is what creates the heaviness. It is what creates the continuation of things. It is what creates that the mind seems like a broken record. Just looping the same thoughts day after day, year after year. So ask the question sincerely. What breaks this pattern? What makes the mind quiet? Really. And the ego might be very helpful and say, I can solve this. But its hidden agenda is always to just continue. To continue to exist. To continue to think. That's what the ego likes. It does not want the end. It says that the end is death. The end is the end of all. But it's only the end of ego. You can slowly open your eyes, move your body, stretch out your legs if you need to. When you start to look into observing your experience, trying to recognize it as it is, and you start to find presence, you start to find acceptance of your thoughts and emotions, you naturally get excited about it. You will start to feel like, wow, everyone should know this. It's a beautiful feeling to have. You have seen something and you wish others to see the same. But the difficulty with the non-dual experience and sharing it is that it's inherently on the level of intellect is a paradox. So as soon as you explain it, it starts to feel like something else. Because the question you will get from someone who has not practiced will always be on the level of the relative. They will say, but what do you mean by not doing anything? I cannot not do anything. And you will say, yes, it's not really like that. It's more like not doing in another way. Because the inherent nature of what we're talking about is not on the level of thought. And that makes it very, very easy for the mind to interpret it like something else. For a long time, without being aware of it, I thought of the non-dual and Vedanta things of more like a symbolic thing. When the teacher said things like, you and the world is the same, you and meditation is the same, I thought it was more on like a symbolic level, not on an experiential level. Because what you cannot see, you cannot see. And when the first time the ego fell, I felt like pointing to my teacher and said, it's true. It's not a symbolic thing. It's not a philosophy. It is true. But this is very difficult to give to someone else, or it's impossible even. That experience of it is impossible to give to someone else. They can only see it when they see it. They can trust you. They can go with their beliefs around it. They can love when you talk about it, whatever it is. But they cannot see it until they see it. And this creates so many things. And in this society that we live, the information about Vedanta and non-duality and Advaita and all these things are public. Anyone can read the deepest texts, no problem. So many texts of beautiful teachers, Nisargadatta, Ramana, whatever it is. Everything is available. And just a couple of 100 years ago, it was impossible. You couldn't get anything. You had to be initiated by a teacher, and they would tell you as much as they thought that you could handle, and information was so easily controlled. And it's beautiful in a sense that everyone can have this information. We can talk about it very freely and very openly, and the accessibility is there. But also the misinterpretations are so much more. Because suddenly one teacher becomes famous and talks about these things, and the misinterpretations just go rampant. And the understanding of it has to do with your willingness to be open to the subject and to be with it and do your sadhana. And I say that because one of the most common misconceptions when it comes to sadhana and the non-dual is that there is nothing you can do. I've been asked so many times, why do I practice? Because you say that there is nothing I can do. But that is just from the standpoint of the person. The idea of the doer achieving something in time. But it's also unavoidable to practice like that. At a certain point, you will practice like that. You will sit down, you will have the belief that there is something that can be achieved, and you will try to go for it, all that you can. And this is not a bad practice. You have to try that until you get frustrated, until it gets too much. Until you feel like, this is bullshit, I'm giving up. All these things are good, but don't stop your sadhana. Continue. Understand that these things are the things that will happen. And you will practice in ways that are determined already by your temperament. And if you listen to me many times, you know that I very rarely talk about you have to work harder. I just say you have to surrender, you don't have to push that hard, but you also have to understand that I come from a temperament where discipline is very easy for me. I've always been all in on everything I did in my life. That comes automatic. So for the one who does not have that, who just avoids and be lazy with their sadhana, they have to apply themselves. They have to really try, and even really try for a while as the person trying to achieve something. Even if that is completely fruitless. And I understand that it feels so harsh, but you cannot see what you don't see. And you're always home blind. And even if you listen to a teacher, that teacher can have a great clarity about the subject, but will also talk from the standpoint of its temperament. So I found it helpful sometimes just to know a little bit about my teacher's background. When I listened to Adyashanti, I understood he has very similar temperament as me and how he approached things. And that's made some things very easy to digest with that. And other teachers had were much more natural with the devotional part, which did not come very easy for me. So then I could just tap into their devotion and understand it. But these things are just good to know, because your outlook will be the same. It will be super colored by your temperament. And you will be drawn to certain things because of that. And you will assume certain things because of that. And for some people, they have to go the path of really striving because they have always been shown in their internal and also maybe in the external by their parents that if you apply yourself, you achieve. If you have that belief, you have to test it until you find out that it does not work. And I would say that this is the difficult thing about spiritual practice, is that you have to fail. And it has to be completely fruitless, what you did. You have to understand that it has nothing to do with anything. And that can feel so devastating on your path. But it's also very, very beautiful, because when you see it, you see it. And you might have a strong feeling, I didn't have to do all that practice, or I didn't have to approach it like this. But it's also unavoidable. You will do from your temperament, from the ideas that you have, and from the drive that you have. And the spiritual path, it can take so many have so many different flavors. For some, their spiritual challenges and what they need is all found in relating with others. For some people, that is very much what the spiritual journey is, with their partner, with people around them, with the teacher, all this. For others, it's very much a lone journey. And this is also just different temperaments, different ways of approaching. And what you need in those are completely different, of course. And then there is also the path of the more intellectual and the path of the more devotional. And maybe you're a combination of them. Maybe you have natural devotion. Maybe you have been raised in a family where you talk about God or have some kind of surrender to the universe, to God, to something. But many people, especially in the West, have nothing of that. And that is, you cannot be without that. Because at some point you will notice that you are not in control. And that all the talk that you heard before that could be helpful at some point, that you are the creator of your life, you are in control, blah, 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 all this, suddenly means nothing. You see that there is the expression of the body always trying to do what is best, and it's happening as it's happening, and life is just happening. And certain things are never going to happen, and certain things are always going to happen. And the acceptance of this brings so much peace. This is one of the greatest parts. If you are a person that comes from the idea of you are the creator of your reality, then surrendering to whatever you want to call it, Shiva, surrendering to God, surrendering to the universe, to life itself, it is such a big thing. In that surrender, there's so much space. Because you don't need to do. The ego has the idea of freedom in choice. That is our sense of freedom. So people feel in control when they feel like they can choose. So if you're a fast food restaurant, you can exploit this feeling that people have, and you just give them 50 choices. You can add things and remove things, and people have the feeling that they're so free they can customize everything. It's such an illusion of freedom. But to the ego, that feels like choosing is to be free. If you would go to the supermarket and there is only one toothpaste, you would be like, oh, I have to choose this one. It's not nice. It's nicer with 17 different toothpastes. Then I feel more free. Then I can look, can choose. We don't understand how petty the ego is. It has such small view of the world and its freedom. And as soon as you touch beingness, the pettiness of the ego can be felt, really. The smallness of all those choices mean nothing. You understand that the acceptance of the moment, being with it, the preciousness of every moment, of every meeting with every person, it just comes by itself with beingness. Life is not many situations that are useless and some precious. And I think this is the way that most people live. Trying to grasp a few precious moments in this life in a sea of useless situations. Waiting for the next vacation, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the next event, or waiting for things to get better. Waiting. Always living on hope for a better future. This is it. Can you handle that? That this is it? Your life is not your situation, or your idea of the future, or where you have been in the past. It is this. This is your life. This is here. That makes everything precious. It also makes it scary because everything is something. And the voice that you trust, the hope that you trust, doesn't have any power in that. It cannot play you any longer. It just is. And this is how spirituality is connected to honesty. Can you be honest with what you do? Can you be honest with your avoidance? Can you be honest with yourself when you're just living for the future? You're just living in expectations and hope and hope and hope. And if you just put yourself in the scenario that there is no time, you have 3 days to live, how would you live? There's nothing to hope for left. There is just this. What would you do? Would your thoughts of that it's going to be great the next vacation, do they feel relevant? No. Would you care about if the meeting this morning went well or not? No. The moment would be precious, right? Because there is only this. There is actually no difference. Most of us live in a tyranny of hope and expectations. Always expecting things to change in the way, and that will create some relief, some real peace, some real happiness at some point. And if you feel like accepting what is in this moment is completely unbearable, maybe that is your openness for that change. Because if the only way you can stand your situation and that there is no change is the idea of a better future, then something needs to change. And maybe you have to accept your feelings. Maybe you feel sad for the state of the world. Maybe you feel remorse for things. Maybe you feel all kinds of things. But in the space of awareness, you can allow all of that in. And you have to deal with it. And you have to ask yourself, how do I stay with everything that is without creating more division, without creating hate, without creating resistance to the idea of the external world? How do I allow it? How can I be with it? And if you don't want to create more karma from that, there is only one path that leads to this state of peace, and that is through empathy. And this, for many people, is very challenging, because everyone in society says you have to choose sides. You have to recognize that these are the evil people of the world and these are the good ones. Please listen, they say. And the more you look into things, you notice that everyone feels like they're on the good side. They always feel righteous in their actions. And it feels so unbelievable that they can feel like that from the outer perspective. And the more you're with that, the more the complexity that is required of empathy is revealed. You have to have empathy for ignorance, which is a difficult one for many. You have to have empathy for arrogance, which might be even more difficult. But otherwise, the mind just creates division. It is not in acceptance. But it is the natural wisdom of silence, of how the mind becomes silent, how the mind becomes peaceful. And this might be very different in how the challenge of that is. And even when I was a teenager, I met some people that they knocked me unconscious and kicked me when I was lying down, and people after asked, "But are you not mad at them?" And I said, "But they didn't know me. They just wanted a body to punch and kick." That was my explanation as a teenager. But when I look at it now, I understand that I could not carry hate. It felt too heavy. So I wanted to understand them. And that's not some clever, wise kid. It's just a way to survive. Because I felt that the hate was too heavy to carry. And later I understand that it was a great gift that I'd been given, that was my default way of dealing with that. Because it did not linger then. It did not haunt me. I didn't walk around with that hate or anger. And I think that most people don't understand what it does. All these things, how you internally do things, and you just copy your parents usually in how you cope with it. And there can easily be so much darkness and so much duality and brutality with it. And that is very much what most people call normal behavior. Or that it's right to feel that way. And on a certain level, it is right. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel. But to not understand it as violence is ignorance. And as soon as you start to see it in yourself, you start to see it in others, and then it will be easier for you to have empathy with someone who does not see the violence. That their arrogance and ignorance says, but I have the right to do these actions. I have the right to go after these people. I have the right to do this or that. And there are so many people who are successful and who are praised and who just saw so much division. So the question is, what kind of world we want. If you praise division, you get it. If you embrace all, you get that. It's so easy to think that the act of doing your sadhana, doing your practice, is such a small thing. You see yourself as one little part of a big world, but you are the world. How you see things is everything. If you think of yourself as separate and small, you will experience your reality as you are separate and small. But if you understand that this expression of life is just consciousness happening, and you are the expression of awareness and consciousness, then you are everything. Our potential for goodness is so great. As soon as there is peace inside, it just overflows. It just loves. It just embraces. Is there any questions today? Yes, take the mic.
Oh, it feels so good to be back at Satsang. Thank you. It's like climbing into a warm bath. Thank you for doing this. I feel very grateful to you and for my lovely Satsangi. I guess I'm just I'm sort of feeling like if you can maybe it's a strange kind of question-y sort of conversation thing, but just thinking like I've had something you said it's always when I come to Satsang that you say something which I've been sort of on my mind. You always touch on something, helps me sort of make something feel more real somehow. It's this idea of sort of like belief and doubt. So it's like maybe you can just help me to sort of check I'm on the right path here. So I guess I have this idea that sort of belief in, maybe it could be a sense of identity or wanting to believe something is true, and then doubt as being the sort of opposite of that. It's sort of like they're opposites, but really they're just the same, right? It's just the mind. So, you can either believe yourself to be a good person or you can doubt yourself to be a good person, but they're just ideas, right? It's just the mind stuff. But like the other way is like it feels like the other way is like it's nothing to do with belief or doubt. It's just like acceptance, and like that feels like this is another direction, which is just like like love or acceptance or openness or awareness. And it has nothing to do with needing to like believe harder or hold on to something. It's all about sort of like letting go of those ideas. That seems like something in my mind which has been which now sort of maybe became a bit more clear. But does that seem like something reasonable to
yes,
you?
the ego loves these opposites. It loves to play with the opposites of pain and pleasure, play or belief or doubt, hope or hopelessness. It's always, when these things are in the mind, they're always like that. And you will always, if you are identified with them, you will move between them, or you will be in one of them and scared of the other thing. Many people are in hope and are terrified of hopelessness. So they never move into hopelessness because they're so terrified from it, for example. But all those things always relate to the idea of identity. They're very connected to it. That's how identity plays. It always has to be trying to embrace, trying to resist. But the real or even trying to surrender is very much in that domain of the egoic mind. But real surrender is just being, unfolding. But often the mind tries to emulate beingness. It tries to develop awareness. It says, I am in this meditative space sometimes, but sometimes I'm not. This is very much the domain of the egoic mind, how it operates. It says that things are lost and found. All these ideas come from the mind. Because on a deeper level, there's always awareness. It's always beingness. How could it be something else? It's like saying that the now is rubbed out by my ideas. It is not. It's just that you're taken by your ideas, so you're not aware of the present moment in that. You're just taken by the idea of the future, for example. So there are many ways that the mind can play. And some of those expressions are best when you also embrace them. Okay, let's go into this fully. Let's fully hope that if this and this happens, just put your... And the mind won't like that either. Because suddenly you go all in. You start to have a tantric approach to it. You say, okay, show it to me fully. Show this fully. Because the mind does not like that. It likes the half way of doing things. It doesn't like to be full on exposed either. It always will say, it's dangerous, don't go there. Keep the distance to this. It doesn't want to like completely be in something expression. And that is the part where you're just also inviting how you feel about things completely. And that you can do all these exercises of like really feeling your anger. And it says, the mind will say, your anger will consume you. And you say, okay, let's see what happens with it. Let's see when it completely takes over. Let it out. I can scream a little, I can box in the air or a pillow or whatever. I just really feel it and see what the mind does with that. Then it has nowhere to go because it's full on. And also in gratitude and all these things that are very heartfelt and very embraced, the mind cannot go there really because it likes this half place where it keeps you and it keeps the story going of it. And you're trying to get rid of your fears and you're trying to be more present. It loves all those things. That's how it can be invested in spirituality. But when you completely allow the moment, when you completely allow awareness and you say, who is the one looking for awareness? I want to know. I really want to look. The ego does not like that. It does not enjoy that. It says you're gonna kill yourself somehow if you talk like that. You're gonna rub yourself out. You're gonna make yourself thin into a nothingness, which is somehow scary. But it's just the death of the ego. So it tries to keep this limbo or whatever this middle ground always. It doesn't want you to say, okay, let's see what happens. I'm all in. Ego is like, no. Wait. It doesn't like that. I hope I answered your question. Yes, very good. Good. I think Yaya has a question here. Hello? Oh, yes, up the volume. Very good.
Yeah. I just thought when you talked about hope, or if it was Richard who talked about hope, I just felt that like, okay, I go into feeling hopelessness, but that feels so allowing and it feels very relaxing. I mean, it feels so... I think maybe it's because I've been trying with all stuff so much, but it feels very relaxing that it's all in vain, kind of. It's all hopeless. all attempts are just so hopeless.
Yes.
Yeah, something in that feels very just like
Yeah. There's some peace there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the mind usually says, don't go into hopelessness. That is like, it feels like it's the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah.
But when you embrace it, when you really feel what hopelessness is, there has to be some space for that. There has to be some awareness that there's a sensation of hopelessness. But when you just can allow that sensation to be, and you just really feel it, not creating any distance to it, not trying to mold it into something that's digestible or anything like that, just invite it completely. It reveals that it is nothing, that there is just peace behind it.
I can say when I go in, like I can feel gratefulness and feel like that too, but often now hopelessness feels much more loving than gratefulness usually does, or at least to some extent.
Yes, because maybe you're feeling like you have to try to be grateful, but in hopelessness there is just surrender, because it's hopelessness.
Exactly.
It doesn't have any the redeeming qualities of hopelessness. It's just
It has no agenda.
No
Agenda.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Who would have thought that?
The beauty of hopelessness.
Sounds like a good book. We need it much more, I think, in our society.
Yes. There is so much focus on something that is going to save us. Yes.
God.
A new political system, a leader, and something that is going to change, or it's just going to get better in the future if my partner just has this and that quality, or if I just get another job, or so much hope that is brutal.
Yeah, I know. There is so much tension in that. It's really painful.
Yes.
Yeah, and somehow life seems to know better. And when I intervene less, it just seems like whatever I try to do, it just messes it up.
Yes.
Somehow, yeah.
Yes, it's just to embrace.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Most of us have been taught that some subjects are completely off the table. You cannot touch them. Some people are so afraid as soon as the ego starts to revolt and says that there is nothing left, and the ego feels like dying, that these thoughts are so scary that people just push them away. But they are just thoughts. They're just a collection of thoughts. There's no reality in that. It doesn't carry anything. But when you react to it with when you take it seriously, it becomes something. It becomes that reaction. And then you have that pattern, that habit of reacting to this subject that you're scared of repeatedly, and it becomes big. And just becomes so much part of your identity, and your relationships are affected by it. Your life, your everyday life is affected by it. It can become so big. So the beauty of embracing things, like, for many people don't like to feel hopelessness at all. They don't want to go there at all. They don't want to feel how that feels. And if you have the openness to just know your experience like that and can embrace all these things, there is so much peace to be found, because then it loses all its power. It can only have power in you resisting it. If you embrace it, it is nothing. It might come again, and with your awareness you again embrace it, and it loses all its power. If it's an old pattern, it might come a couple of times, but if the embrace is there, nothing happens to it. You don't create anything more with it. But that honesty is rare. And that's why people in crisis seem to be good at embracing spirituality, because they stop being afraid. They cannot be pushed around anymore. Yes.
Something that touches me tonight is the piece around not wanting to create any more karma, or more karma not being created, and empathy being a key there. Would you feel some aliveness for talking more about these things? How empathy is a component of that.
Yes. Because in the empathy is just openness for the understanding of someone else's experience. And what that does, what it does on the surface level, what conclusion it draws, it's actually secondary. Because the openness of the understanding of the other is the thing. Why are certain people so brutal? Where do they come from? What is the expression? Why do people act like this or this? And you have the openness of it. Because that acceptance of that these things exist, and that with the understanding of it, you understand the nature of it. It doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't even mean that you have to embrace it, on a personal level. You just understand it. And what that creates is that it does not create anything. It does not continue. It just understands. And it's a deep aspect of us, and it comes very natural with silence. Because it makes the other not other. It makes the other you. And this is what many people resist. They want to take a moral high ground. They want to say these people are wrong. This is right behavior. That is disgusting behavior. That is this or that. Without trying to understand, with just dismissing it. And it creates just more duality. It creates hate, it creates fear, all these things. And again, it does not mean that you don't see the violence in that. You can see the violence in everything. And there is so much of that. In duality in itself is violence. It always creates the idea of the death of the body, an idea of the death of the person, and from that comes the idea of I have to protect, I have to keep these people out, they are the others, they are the threat, whatever, everything comes from that. If you embrace, there is none of that. Then there can be a deep love for all beings. You understand the nature of things and you understand the going of things, but you feel empathy and you feel love for them. They don't feel separate or far, or that I could never understand that behavior, or you don't condemn behaviors like that. But it takes also, it requires of you to be very honest with your own experience, with your own expressions, with all of it. Can you see the times when you exploit others because you thought that you had the upper hand somehow? And through that you will understand everyone whoever exploits people. You could see, oh, if you only see that, and you have parents who only act like that, and you come in situations where you always have the upper hand in that sense, you could understand how a person could be like that. But it's so easy to just condemn them and say, that's terrible behavior. And you will also understand that when people just believe their life on the surface level, then there is no deeper connection with everything. Otherwise, when there is no difference between you and the experience, you feel deeply connected to it. It's so loving. And many people feel that when they go out in nature, for example, they feel this connection. It is an inherent quality of the experience. And from certain perspectives, people say things like, yes, people try to be with so much empathy and it's so easy to exploit those people, and this kind of talk. It's very naive to be like that. But that is just if empathy is just an idea. And also creates a hierarchy in which ones you could feel empathy for. These beliefs create a lot of distortion and a lot of duality. And as soon as the mind takes over that and says, oh, these are the most, this group is the greatest victim in history and this group is like this, then they're no longer also allowed to be beings. Then they have the pity mark on them and they should be treated in this way. And suddenly you put a hierarchy in another way and you create a duality in another way. If you see them as beingness itself, everyone can be the same. And to be met like you are is the most lovely thing. everyone will tell you. The one who always thinks that no one appreciates them, who lives on the streets in the city and collecting bottles to live from, and you just treat them like anyone. You just treat them like a normal human being. They can start to cry from it. And also the one who is usually always regarded so highly, being famous or being influential, when you treat that person just like a normal person, they also enjoy that. Because you just reflect the beingness of that one. They are the same. So empathy in that is much more looking behind the surface of things. It's not an idea of empathy. It is the openness to see beingness in everyone. So it's not really an idea. I think we create empathy so much as a concept, but deep empathy is just beingness. Just to see beyond the surface and understand that everyone is that. And I know that there are many practices of empathy, and in Buddhist context there's a lot of these, how to invite empathy with all beings. And you can try it, but it is the openness itself that does it. And then it just shows that it is the same as the awareness. It is to see awareness in everything. And how do you do that? You see the awareness in yourself. And as you might recognize, when we talk about different subjects, we're not really talking about different subjects. We're talking about different doors to the same. That's why the Hindus create so many gods, because they just realize that it's good with a lot of doors. Oh, if you think that you're this kind of person, then this is the way. Did I answer your question?
Yes, and I just wanted to add that it touched me to, it landed something for me around, temporarily landed something for me around having such a negative, hateful, internal voice or critic, and how observing the voice or observing what is doesn't quite like make the how empathy ends karma. I feel like the turning towards these parts with empathy, like, oh, it ends the pattern somehow. So I think I have this internal and lessens the identification with this parts, that I can see the part. And it resonated for me in this like ending of karma. So maybe it's not so possible for me now to understand it with the words, but the end.
everything that comes from trying will be have to given up eventually. And as I said in the beginning, maybe you have to try. You see no other path forward than to try. You will try to have more empathy until you understand that it is beingness itself. You will try to question the mind through self-inquiry until you realize that you are beingness itself. You try to be disciplined in your sadhana until you realize that there is no need for discipline. There's just this. There's no difference between you and the meditation. There's no difference between you and the teacher. There's no difference between you and other. And that the Guru has always been in your heart. The Guru just happens, as life just happens. And suddenly all the words are the same. They're just another door. And you for a while believe yourself to be a one that has to go through doors. But it is like Rumi said, you've been knocking and knocking until one day you realize that you've been knocking from the inside. You might say, God, please let me in. Please let me be present and free and happy. And you realize that you are the God. You are the godliness itself. And the embrace that you're looking for is you. And I understand that these words can be misunderstood. They can be taken as arrogance, or they can be played with by the ego. But if you see them for what they are, you will. Otherwise, you will misunderstand anyway. It's unavoidable. Any more questions today? Or it's time to sing? Very good. Richard? Do you feel like choosing one? Okay, let's do Sri Radha. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, 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 Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
just the one that goes in.
Hey Govinda, hey Gopala.
Can we do that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? I think that's the one you mean. That's the one she means, right?
Yeah.
Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Nityananda, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Nityananda, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Vasudeva, Hey Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala. One more. Jai Mata Kali, Jai Mata Durga. Jai Mata Kali, Jai Mata Durga, Jai Mata Kali, Jai Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga Namo Namah, Kali Durga Namo Namah. May everyone find the inherent peace of this moment. Let that existential, curious quality guide you. And might you find the honesty of being with this moment in sincerity, and allow ignorance and arrogance to be burnt away by the light of awareness. May you remember that you are awareness and recognize the reflection of that awareness in others. So that you can recognize the peace that is everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti.